Hmm. Okay, let's look at verse 15 now. Nakshatra graha taranam adhipo vishvabhavanah tejasampi tejasvi dvadashatman namostute. Nakshatra graha taranam adhipah. Om nakshatra graha taranam adhipaya namah. Om vishvabhavanaya namah. Om tejasamapi tejasvine namah. Om dvadashatmane namah. So last week we saw Nakshatra Grahataranam Adhipaha. We spent a lot of time on this, uh, interestingly. So we'll look at 79 onwards. Vishwa Bhavanaya Namaha. Vishwa Bhavanaya. Bhava, we said Bhava means to be, to exist, to, to create, or to bring something into existence is to Bhava. It means, the word means, Bhava word means to bring something into existence. Bhavati. Adalenda, the Sanskritam, the declension that is used is called Bhavati, which means to be. So Vishwa Bhavanaya, he is the cause of creation, which means he is the cause of creation, means it is that um, principle within me, within us, which is the cause of creation and cause of sustenance. Vishwa Bhavana, to continue to to continue to exist the way it is existing. That is Vishwa Bhavana. So to bring it into existence and also to ensure that it is sustained. And one of the reasons we spoke about this, that sustenance is a greater emphasis for Surya Bhagavan, and which is why he is also referred to as Surya Narayana. One of the reasons that he is referred to as a form of Narayana is because his primary responsibility, or the dominant feature of his presence, is that of sustenance. He's also the creator in a way, because it's through the sun that everything came into creation, came into existence, in terms of even the cosmological process. Sun is the largest star, and the planets, whatever started coming out of them as balls of fire, right? So that, in that sense, and also as this entity, that which is the primordial entity, it's from that forms of life evolved. Even if you look at the Sankhya philosophy, forms of life evolved, and that from that principal entity. But the importance here, as I said, is given to the dominant feature is shown as of sustenance. Because we don't know when it came into existence. We don't know when it's going to go and into oblivion. We don't know when that's going to happen. We don't know when pralaya is going to happen. Certainly not in our lifetimes. But then during the period, it is the Surya who sustains us. So he is Surya Narayana, which is the sustenance aspect of the entity, the cosmic principle. So Vishwa Bhavana is essentially the sustenance principle, and by sustenance, you're trying to say that that which is, yesterday we spoke about this, everything is pro-life, which means everything in what you experience as life around you, it wants to continue. It wants to continue. There is a constant desire for it to continue. See, like when a child is born to parents, they want to see their reflection in the child, which means the things that when the child says, I am like my father, like my mother, there is a certain sense of association, there is a certain sense of continuity that is established in the mind. And then when the child grows older, it comes to a point where it does not want to associate with the parents. because excuse me, because they feel the parents embarrass me. அது யாரோ வயசானவன்ப்பா எனக்கு தெரியாது. Some old hack. I don't want to associate. Because there is the fear. Then what you see in older people, and you see them behaving in a way which doesn't suit you, and then you think, I don't want to become like that. So then you disassociate yourself. And I say, I don't want to be like that. So what happens now? So the person for whom the child was a reflection of their personality, now that child is wanting to withdraw that reflection. Now what does the person do? He now tries to associate with the grandchildren. So which is why you will see in all households, the grandparents are very close to the grandchildren. That is also because of this sense of continuity. We want to continue to exist. There is this innate desire. There is an innate strong desire for wanting to continue to exist. And so that desire manifests in the things that we do. We know even an 80-year-old person wants to see that what his experiences have been transmitted to the next generation. He wants to see that. He wants to see when he sees a son, daughter, or grandchildren, or the extended family, he sees children are picking up on his experience, on his learning, and they carry it on. He feels satisfied because he realizes that in some form, I am being continued. Because in our minds, we fundamentally, we cannot accept that I will not exist. We cannot imagine our own dissolution. It's hard for us to imagine our non-existence. It is difficult. So everything that we see, we experience, is life itself wanting to continue, procreate, and continue for infinite time. We really don't know. We talk about pralaya, the literature, scriptures talk about pralaya and all that, but none of us have experienced that pralaya. What we experience is a period of 70 to 100 years, right? That is what we generally experience. And in that experience, you'll notice itself that even in that period of time, the larger scale of things, if you see 70 to 100 is a very small, minuscule period of time. And even that, we develop so much attachment, we develop so much of identity and personality, and then we want to continue that. So that, and as we said again, it's not a bad thing, because the way life is structured is like that. It will always try to survive. It will always try to sustain itself. It will always try to come back and try to maintain itself. Right? How many ever disasters happen, whatever happens, it will still bounce back because it wants to continue to exist. Vishwa Bhavanaya Namaha. So this existence is given by this principle itself. This principle wants to manifest itself, wants to exist. It will continue. The only way for us, what is the escape? Which means we are locked. We are, it's like a divine curse. Divine curse is that we are locked. We are stuck in this because it wants to be in a loop. It wants to continue to keep doing the same things again and again and again. So it continues to do that. The only thing for us to, if we feel enough that I'm stuck, if there is a tremendous sense that I'm stuck, then we start looking for means and methods and ways of coming out of this. Right? So then this cycle of creation, existence, and destruction creation, sustenance, and destruction, then we try to ride it. We try to come out of it. So he is Vishwa Bhavanaya Nama. He is the cause for all of this. Now, also remember this. A lot of times, this is an interesting observation. Ganesha is usually understood as somebody who removes Vighna. He is Vighna Harta. But if you go to the tantric forms of worshipping Ganapati, he is also referred to as Vighna Karta. He is not just Vighna Harta, he is also Vighna Karta. Which means Ganesha is the one that is the Vighna, and Ganesha is the one who will help you to get over Vighna. It is in a way to say that you have to there's a saying that says that goes if you want to no, I'm not able to recall. But the idea is that these are principles which operate in both ways, which means that itself is the obstacle, that itself is the creation of suffering, that itself is also the tool for our liberation. So when we are looking at any of these deities, any of these principles, if you are wanting to approach any of these principles, like Surya in this form, he is Vishwa Bhavanaya Namaha, means he is the one who is the sustainer of everything, which means he keeps us locked, but he is also the one who can become a tool for our liberation. If we approach him in the right kind of devotion, right kind of sadhana. So that is very important for us to note, that all of these deities, and we can also become attached to these deities. We can become attached to these deities in a way where they themselves become the obstacle for us to go any further. I mean, these are very subtle ways at looking at things, because what is important at the end of the day is you. You are the most important thing, not these symbols. These symbols are tools. These symbols are representations of certain things. These symbols are pointers to some truths. But essentially what is important is you. And this is very, 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 very important. Because a lot of times we hold on to some deity, some form, some mantra, some this thing, even though it is causing us suffering, even though it causes us anxiety, we hold on to it, not really understanding it's possibly that whole process of holding on itself is causing the suffering and anxiety. So important thing is always use yourself as a measure of understanding where you are in this whole journey. It doesn't matter. In fact, I would go to the extent to say, even when there is a guru, don't hold on to the guru in a way that becomes pivotal in your life, because the guru himself did not hold on to his guru in that way. It's important to see him as a guiding star, a pole star. You hold on to it that way, but not in a way that you impose upon all your life processes onto him, your decisions. How do I go about in life? How do I do something? How do I everything? If you go imposing it on the guru, then it actually creates attachment, and that attachment is no different than any material attachment. Even in spiritual journeys, spiritual attachment is also an attachment. And so we should also look at trying to dissolve ourselves from that attachment, because who's important at the end of the day? It's you. Mahavakya is Aham Brahmasmi, and which is where we are trying to go to Aham Brahmasmi. Dakshinamurti shloka is there, right? Murti Bheda Vibhagine Yomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti. What is that shloka? Murti Bheda Vibhagine. Ishwaro
व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेह
Ishwara Guru Atma iti Murti Bheda
ईश्वरो
Vibhagine.
गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिनि
Correct.
व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणम्
Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. So Ishwara Guru Atma. These three should become one. You should be able to see the Ishvara in the Atma, you should be able to see the Guru in the Atma. When it becomes one, then you have the experience of Dakshinamurti. If you keep holding them outside and trying to use them for your you use them as a crutch, that's the word, right? Then we are creating more attachments and more suffering. So this is important. In the spiritual journey, we should know when to keep dropping things. As much as you seek to hold on to a Lord, to a deity, to devotion, to bhakti, to all of that, we should also know where we have to drop, because it's essentially me. It's essentially I who is important in the process. And that measure, constant introspection measure is important. Okay. So Vishwa Bhavanaya Namaha. So he is the cause of the sustenance, which means he keeps us caught up in this loop, but he also is the one who can become a tool for our liberation. Tejasamapi Tejasvi. Om Tejasamapi Tejasvine Namaha. So he is Jyotishamapi Jyotihi. Same meaning. Tejasamapi Tejasvi is the same meaning as Jyotishamapi Jyotihi. In the Upanishad, there is a reference made saying that this Atma or this consciousness, Brahman, is Jyotisham api Jyotihi, which means it is, if you take a collection of all lights, a collection of all the lights that you know of, it is even brighter than that. Or this is that Jyoti, or this is that Tejas or light from which every other light takes its essence. So the essence of every light, like for example, if you're lighting a lamp, you're taking the fire and lighting a lamp. The essence from that previous fire, that fire is already there. You're taking from there and you're burning this. So in that way, this particular consciousness or the conscious principle that we're talking about is the basis of all that is light here, all that is tejas. Tejas means all that is luminous, all that is enlivening us, all that is giving this form, this experience, all that is giving, it is coming from that source. Now, there is just a reference here to the story in Kenopanishad, which is a very popular story in Kenopanishad, where after the Devasura war, the Devas come to victory. They win, and then they are very proud that they have won victorious, and they are running around with a lot of pride. Then they forget that their power to do what they are doing comes from this cosmic principle. They are not the greatest. They derive the power from that single source of power or source of truth. Then the story goes that Brahman takes the form of a yaksha. Yaksha is some unidentified creature, takes that form, and suddenly he appears in front of the devatas, Agni, Vayu, Varuna, all of them. And they come and inspect. They go closer to him and try to inspect who is this. And then the way they go and present themselves is that, like for instance, Agni goes and says, I am Agni. I have the ability to burn down anything and everything. Then the Yaksha, he takes up a blade of grass and he keeps it in front of him and he says, okay, burn this now. And Agni tries with all his might. He is not able to burn the blade of grass. And he's surprised, right? He's surprised and he's actually aghast. He's saying, I'm not able to burn a blade of grass. Something's wrong. And then Vayu comes and he said, never mind, let me go and give it a try. So Vayu goes and he tells Vayu Bhagavan says, I am god of wind, I can blow dry everything. Again, he holds the blade of grass and he is not even able to move the blade of grass. Then again, Varuna goes, the Yaksha holds the blade of grass. Varuna says, I can drown everything in water. He's not able to even make that blade of grass wet with a drop of water. So each of these devatas try all that and then they give up. And then they know that there's something's happening here. And then they fall at the feet of this Yaksha. He's saying that we don't recognize who you are. Please forgive us for our act of pride. And then the Yaksha presents himself as Shiva or light, comes as light, Tejas. And it says that I am the power, I am Brahman, I am the power which powers your actions. So the place where you think your power comes from is from this source of light, that which I am. Right? So it is to show that this particular, and this is something that it's a reminder also to us, right? Whenever we either achieve something in life or we lose in something, whatever, it's basically that that power within us which is firing us up to do whatever we need to do, whatever we have to do. And it's always important to go back to connect with that particular source of power within us. Tejasamapi Tejasvi. Tejasamapi Tejasvine Namaha. Next one is Dwadashatmane Namaha. The Dwadashatmane Namaha is a very beautiful nama because Surya is in many ways also associated with um, the cycle of 12, right? Surya Bhagavan. Surya Bhagavan is, there are 12 months in a year. So it's the time that Earth takes to go around the sun is 12 months. So you usually use that as a measure of 12. 12 is also a significant number for a spiritual sadhaka, because it is said that things occur in cycles of 12 in our lives. In cycles of 12 means it could be a 12-hour period, a 12-day period, a 12-month period, a 12-year period, and so on and so forth, right? So 12 is significant from that sense for a spiritual sadhaka to notice opportunities that appear or changes that appear in a cycle of 12. In fact, even in the horoscope chart, the astrological chart that they draw up, the 12th house has some reference to spiritual tendencies of a person.
Ketu and 12th or something else.
Ketu and 12, correct. So there has an association with spiritual tendencies of a person, how he will progress in his spiritual journey, that has a reference in the 12th house. Likewise, Guru, Jupiter, it goes around, it makes a cycle around the sun in 12 earth years, which means if you use the measure of earth time, the amount of time it takes for Jupiter Guru to go around Surya is roughly about 12 years. And there are significant changes that can occur in your life during that. In fact, if I'm not wrong, the Tamil or the Indian calendar,
Pushkara is also calculated based on that. 12 years. The Kumbh
Pushkara.
Mela.
Kumbh Mela is also 12 years. Absolutely right. Correct. Pushkarama. Kumbhabhishekam is done every 12 years. Usually Kumbhabhishekam is usually done 12 years. The other thing I was saying is the calendar cycle follows a 60-year cycle, right? Which is also a factor of 12.
Interestingly, the king of Thailand, the age is measured in 12. And when he completes 6 12s, they celebrate.
Lovely.
So, yeah. So
72.
they measure the age in 12 years, and every 12 years they perform some ceremony for that.
Nice.
That's also there, right? Sudhu Shashti Purti, 60 years celebration.
Purti is 60.
60 is, I think, one full cycle of Jupiter and one full cycle of Saturn.
At least 5.
Nakshatrame, the starting Nakshatram, or probably in the 60th year, the Nakshatram is the same as what you are born in that same
On
year.
with.
Year and Nakshatram will coincide.
Correct.
That's because Jupiter and Saturn come to the exact same position as when you were born.
Your natal
After that.
natal chart.
Correct.
So the 12
The
years.
Chinese, so they also follow that 60th. It's
Chinese
significant
also,
for them as well.
I see. Very nice. So you see, this is a a factor of 12, right? 12 times 5 yields 60. So there is, so 12 is significant in many of these ways. I'm actually thinking the king of Thailand will be pretty sad because he gets to celebrate his birthday once in 12 years only.
Every year they celebrate the birthday, but
Oh, they celebrate, okay.
every 12th year, like 12, 24,
So they
36,
significant.
40. அப்படி பண்ணும்போது அந்த 72
கும்பாபிஷேகம் பண்றது கூட 12 years once கோவில் கும்பாபிஷேகம் பண்ணுவோம் இல்லையா?
ஆமாமா 12 you do Kumbhabhishekam, correct, every 12 years.
அதே மாதிரி
மகாமகம் 12 years.
Correct. So I
மகாமகம்.
think it's nice. So Thailand also has a lot of this cultural, strong cultural followings. It's very
the king, they are supposed to be Surya Vamshis. That is why
you're right. Correct.
They are named as Rama 1, Rama 2, Rama 3.
You are right.
ராமா பேர் தான் இருக்கும் சூரிய வம்ஷிஸ். அவ குரு வந்து அவ ராஜகுரு வந்து is a Brahmin, and he decides when you can do the அவளுக்கு வந்து அந்த அக்ரிகல்ச்சர் நாட்டு நடுறதுலாம் வந்து based on what he says, and they come to Kanchipuram and they go.
Wow.
Those gurus. And உங்களுக்கு இது பார்த்தீங்கன்னாக்கா மார்கழியில நம்ம சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா, what was that? Margari, we sing that
Tirupavai.
They sing there. They sing in the month of January. You will see Tirupavai, Tiruvambai. They're singing there. But only thing on the pronunciation will be.
Of course, they will be very localized. The localized.
Localized, because they are localized after several years. They are localized.
Sure.
Apple Music Library.
So they follow that the period on those on the Navaratri, on the period they will not eat anything. Those who eat non-vegetarian, they in the Margari Master sari, nammaloda and the Navaratri appon sari, they will abstain. In fact, shops will have yellow color flags. So if
Ah.
you see yellow flag, which means they will only serve vegetarian food. So lot of நம்மளோட அந்த சனாதன following நிறைய பார்க்கலாம். But of
Cultural,
course, சாங்கியாவோட philosophy இருக்கிறதுனால it will not be complete. அந்த பூர்ணமா இருக்காது. But kings, of course, நான் நேரம் பார்க்கறது, காலம் பார்க்கறது எல்லாம் அதெல்லாம் பண்ணுவாங்க.
certainly there's lot of cultural influences there, which is certainly a very interesting thing, because this whole subcontinent developed a lot of these cultural ideas almost I mean that their influence is very quickly to catch on in this whole subcontinent. So that is certainly good. So it's nice to know.
Airport name is also Suvarna Bhumi Airport, right?
Suvarna Bhumi. Yeah, correct. Suvarna Bhumi. That is true. So it's quite interesting to note that they follow the Suryavanshi tradition.
Suryavanshi, and a lot of places are called Puris. There are Saraburi, Ayodhya Puri, they have Chonburi. All they all end with Puri. Like we have Kashi Puri and all those things. Their names of the places are also ending with Puri.
Puri, very nice. Puri, like Miraji asked at the starting, Puri also means that it is a place, a sthana, a station, like Pura. That so very nice, very nice.
So do they say Dwadas Aditya, 12 Adityas, right? So is it related to Dwadasatmane?
In a way, see, one of the things is that there are 12 Adityas, means there are 12 sons of Aditi, sorry, 12 sons of Aditi becomes 12 Adityas. And Surya is one of the Adityas, actually. Surya is one of the Adityas, which means one of the 12. And it's just that because of him, his mother is glorified. And so his name became more prominent in that sense. But there are 12 Adityas, which I think these are 12 constellations or something of that sort. The 12 sons of...
I remember Velukudi saying each month has a different Aditya. Madri.
Correct. There are different Adityas for each month. True. So now...
So the sun you see in Margari is different from the sun you see in Tai and the Madri.
Understand. No, actually, that is also true. If you notice the way the sun moves each month, you will notice it rising slightly from a different place and setting slightly in a different place. I mean, if you notice and you go and see the sunrise and sunset, you will notice this. There will be an angular change in from where it is. Ayanas. The way Ayana is essentially the path which the sun travels during that period. Dakshinayana and Uttarayana. True. So, Kalpaka is saying there are 9 Mahadashas, Surya, Chandra, etc., that are supposed to undergo a lifetime of 120 years. So, these add up to 120, which is also a multiple of 12. And then there are Dwadasha Rishis. Interesting. Actually, you see, so there are many. See, of course, you take any number, there are many significant concepts and ideas that come behind a number. In that way, 12 has many of these ideas associated with it. But 12 is very significant for Surya Bhagavan or Surya as a living, as an entity. And which is why in Surya Namaskara also, there are 12 of his names that are referred to. Om Mitraya Namaha, Om Ravaye Namaha, Om Suryaya Namaha, Om Bhanave Namaha, Om Khagaya Namaha, Om Pushne Namaha, Om Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha, Om Marichaye Namaha, Om Adityaya Namaha, Om Savitre Namaha, Om Arkaya Namaha, Om Bhaskaraya Namaha.
So all are from this place only. I mean, from Aditya Hridayam.
These are all from Aditya Hridayam. Correct. These are all namas from Aditya Hridayam. And if you, those who are familiar with this, the the yoga asana, Surya Namaskaram, in that you're actually, so there are 12 postures in that one asana, in that one,
Positions.
12 positions. And each one, the technical way to do it is you chant one nama in each position. So you first stand Om Mitraya Namaha, Om Ravaye Namaha, Om Suryaya Namaha, you go down like that. So that's, you chant each of these names and then you complete that 12 posture cycle of the asana. And that is called Surya Namaskaram. So this number 12 has a very significant association with Surya. And the
Nadi கூட 12 சொல்லுங்க.
12 nadiya,
Nadi or the
12 nadis I'm not certain about.
spots in the body. Spots.
I'm not sure, but 12 is also in a way it's a cycle. Like even for instance, we do Ekadashi, right? Ekadashi mudichitu Dwadashi is very important. Not just because we get to eat on Dwadashi. It is just, it's called Dwadashi Paranam, which means on that day, so you fast and you cleanse yourself and you rejuvenate on the Dwadashi. On the 12th day, you rejuvenate, which means, see, when we start becoming sensitive to the patterns or cycles that happens within us, then we will realize that we have an opportunity to break out of it. Because anything that comes in a pattern, a repetitive pattern, we are stuck. Always, that's something that we need to remember. Anything that's in a pattern, in a loop, we are stuck. So life la kuda, if we are able to observe, and if you have lived enough number of years to see some of these patterns, we will notice these patterns repeat in our lives. At whatever age, the kind of people coming, the kind of experiences you get, the kind of things that happen in terms of change, movement, whatever, it will happen in a certain pattern. And if as a spiritual sadhaka, which means where you are wanting to free yourself from conditionings, a pattern is also a condition. A pattern is also a condition. In fact, all of our bodies go through patterns. Women's body, they're able to notice this much more clearly because every month they have the menstruation cycle and so on and so forth. So you're able to observe that close enough that there is a pattern, there is a cycle. Men also have some cycles, you just have to be observant enough to be able to observe that cycle. So be it physical, mental, emotional, at your energy level, you will notice that these patterns occur. When we become like Amavasya or Paurnami to Paurnami, we'll see some patterns in the way things occur. If we become sensitive to these patterns, if we're able to understand this pattern is going to occur, then we can do something to break the pattern. To our favor, of course. Because we don't want wisdom to occur only once in 12 years. We don't want understanding to come only once in 12 months. Right? We don't want, we want this to be established. Today, because we are governed by these patterns or cycles, understanding comes in a certain cycle. Misery comes in a cycle. Suffering comes in a cycle. Joy comes in a cycle. Happiness comes in a cycle. Anxiety comes in a cycle. Everything comes in a cycle. So does understanding and wisdom. And sometimes you'll suddenly feel that on a certain day or a certain period of time or certain this thing, you just feel that you're so composed, you're so calm, and you understand things much better. But again, you fall into another pattern, another cycle. Right? We want this understanding to be established within us. So how is that possible? When there is the breaking of the cycle. Only when we break the cycle, then some of this, and any cycle for that matter, for a spiritual sadhaka is not good. For any cycle. If you think that every Navaratri to Navaratri, I feel so good. Only Navaratri 9 days, I feel so awesome, so delight, so excited and so elated. And then after Navaratri, I am gone. And then I wait for the next Navaratri. Eppo adutha Navaratri varum, then I will feel good. See, even then you have 4 Navaratris, right? So assuming we shorten the cycle, we say every Navaratri, I will feel divinity, I will feel this bliss and joy and all of that. Then what about the period between 2 Navaratris? There's at least a quarter between two Navaratris, right? Or, yeah. So the important thing is we want to break the cycle and ride the cycle, which means we want to be in a place where the cycles don't govern us. We become sensitive, we understand these cycles. We know, like, this is a period that's coming. I sense that I may go into a mood, I may go into some kind of a mood or some kind of a nasty, self-demotivating, self-depressing kind of a thought. Let me do, for example, let me do Gayatri Japa and make sure I don't fall into that. Let me use this time to do some Archana, maybe. Maybe this period I may fall into this kind of a situation, or my mind might go, or I think my energies, every Amavasya, I think my energy is dropping. Whatever reason. The moment we identify some of these cycles, then we use the tools that are available with us to break that cycle. Right? So, Dvadashatmane Namaha. So, today we saw the whole verse 15, which is Om Nakshatra Grahatarana Madhipaya Namaha, Om Vishwabhavanaya Namaha, Om Tejasamapi Tejasvine Namaha, Om Dvadashatmane Namaha. Om Kahena Vacha Manasendriye Va Buddhyatmana Va Prakate Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayana Iti Samarpayami Sadashivaya Iti Samarpayami Jagadambikaya Iti Samarpayami Satgurunathaya Iti Samarpayami Hari Om Satgurubhyo Namaha. Gurudeva.